So hello, everyone. Here we are again for another session of the Financial Professions webinar. Today, our profession is the CFO, Chief Financial Officer. Let me first introduce myself. As always, I'm Miguel. I'm a member of the Board of Directors of CFA Society Portugal, and I'll be the host of this event. And we have three speakers as usual. One is about to join us. I think he's not here yet, but I'll introduce everyone. But let me also, before that, thank everyone. So first, I would like to thank CFA Society Luxembourg and CFA Society Greece for partnering up with us for this event. We started these webinars a couple of years ago. We CFA Society Portugal, and recently we have been doing it in partnership with our societies, with European societies. I think I've been, at least speaking for myself, I've been enjoying it much more because I listen other perspectives, which are always different from people that live in other countries, and in this way you can have a more diversified and a larger audience. So thank you for CFA Society Luxembourg and CFA Society Greece. Hopefully you can have more events like this in the future. Thank you all attendees, of course, for taking the time to join us. I'd like to thank as well the universities that promoted the event, and not only the Portuguese ones, but I learned now that other universities, including from Luxembourg, also promoted the event. Thank you as well. And of course, thank you. I'd like to thank the speakers, Philippe, António, and Byron. Of course, you are dedicating 1 hour of your time to be here, but more than that, you are sharing your experiences, and I think it's very important. I think people learn a lot by listening to your stories about what you do, what brought you to your current situation, your current profession. So we really thank you for that. So let me introduce everyone. I always start with a more senior person, Philippe Bernard. Philippe was the manager and treasurer of Credit Suisse Luxembourg branch for 14 years. He has a diploma in bank management, and he's a CFA since 1994. Philippe is also the president of CFA Society Luxembourg. So we are really honored to have you here with us. We are really happy to have you with us. And then we have António Vicente. He currently works as head of finance for Mondum, hopefully I'm pronouncing correctly, which is an insurance company owned by Crédit Agricole. Before that, he worked as an investment manager, as a trader, as a portfolio manager, and also a financial analyst. He studied business at Universidade do Minho and also corporate finance and mathematical finance at ISCTE. He's also a CFA. Finally, we have Byron, who currently works as a CFO at Box Now, which is a parcel package delivery company. Before that, he worked at the ING, at investment in private banking. He also had several roles at Alpha Bank. He worked as a project manager for a gaming company, and he also worked in project management as well at PeopleCert. He studied banking and financial administration at University of Piraeus. I'm sure I did not pronounce it correctly, and in management at Harvard. He was the vice president of CFA Society Greece for 6 years, and if I understood correctly, he currently serves as CFA Institute's at the CFA Institute's Education Advisory Board. Is that correct? Okay. He's also a CFA. So I have three CFAs today. So let's start with questions, and I would start with Philippe. If you could provide us a snapshot of the company in which you worked as a treasurer and a manager as well in the time, which was Credit Suisse Luxembourg branch, and what was your role there specifically in what relates to finance?
Thank you for the question, and thank you for letting me be in the first one. You say I'm the most senior, no, but I'm the dinosaur. So it has nothing to do with that. I was working, and I have to say, thank you for giving me the opportunity to present the CFO role, because I have a lot of fun doing that until the end of 2021. And then I'm retired, and now I'm only volunteers for the CFA Society. So first, the entity I was working with was basically two entity banks from Credit Suisse, Luxembourg, SA. It was a subsidiaries, so totally independent, doing private business and custody for funds. And the other entity was a branch of the mother in Switzerland that had been set up in 2007 to give an access to the group, to the ECB on transaction from the ECB. And my role over time, as I was approved by the regulator for some function, and that's maybe a specificity in comparison to other entities. If you are banks, you are heavily regulated, and a lot of things have changed. And the role of CFO 20, 30 years ago, I would also say that there was no CFO 30 years ago. It was the chief accountant. With the regulation, a lot of things have changed. And I've been approved by the regulator first to be responsible for the market risk. And over time, I took over also the accounting direct reportings. And as said, with the regulation came a lot of new requirements since 2009, the crisis with after Lehman, where a lot of measures have been implemented, meaning that a bank that had done nothing had suddenly to take care of capital adequacy, leverage ratio, produce ICAP, ILAP. If you don't know, ICAP is internal capital adequacy assessment, ILAP internal liquidity adequacy assessment. You need to produce that once a year. You need to produce liquidity ratio. A lot of things that were pretty new for the organizations. And in my area, I had 4 departments. Basically, it was the treasury department on one side. It was the finance, people doing the reporting, the accounting, the account payable. And then I have also MIS controlling, because that's maybe also something interesting for people to understand, that depending of the view, you could have a legal entity, but you have also business view, division view, if you want to manage a market, product, and so on. And that's more the role in organization, was more the role of the MIS controlling. And then I had the trading for historical reasons, and I will explain after. And maybe I'll stop here for the start.
Thank you, Philippe. António, maybe you can be next.
Yes. So good afternoon, everybody, and thank you to the CFA Institute and to the CFA societies for the opportunity. Thank you to all that are attending, and thank you, Philippe and Byron, for sharing this time with me. Mudum, you spell it more or less, Miguel. It's Mudum. It's a word that does not exist in Portuguese, so it's very hard. Mudum Seguros is a bank insurance company operating in Portugal, and as you said, fully owned by the French Crédit Agricole Assurance Group. Bank insurance is an insurance company which sells only through the banking channel. It's a non-life insurance company, so selling motor, house, and health products. And we sell mainly through our bank distributor partner, which is Novo Banco. For those of you who are not in Portugal, Novo Banco is the 4th largest bank in Portugal. Nevertheless, we are still a small, medium-sized company, 80 million euros turnover, and we are 90 in terms of headcount. Finance at Mudum is composed of 3 departments. So accounting, treasury, and fiscal department. It does all the 3 functions. It does all the company bookkeeping, consolidation, reporting to the regulator. It processes all the payments and collections of the company, and assures all fiscal obligations. Then we also have an investment department. The investment department, we manage the investment portfolio of the company. So it's small portfolio, 100 million euros of assets, mostly bonds, corporate and sovereign, but also some equity, real estate, and private equity, a diversified global portfolio. And finally, but not the least, a financial planning and control department, which is where the central process in this area is managing and steering the budget and medium-term plan of the company, which of course is a strategic piece of the overall management. Speaking about this finance function, so it reports to an executive commission, which is composed of a CEO and 2 deputy CEOs. A small team. We are a team of 8 persons. With such a diverse set of functions and processes, this requires different skills and profiles. With such a small team, I'm personally involved in the execution and some of the technical tasks, but I would say that the most important role is to keep the team motivated every single day. So managing a team and the way they operate together for the common purpose of the company is really the most important part of my job.
Thank you, Antonio. Byron, next to you.
Hello from Greece, and thanks for participating and for the invitation. It's my pleasure to join you today. As you said, I am working currently for BoxNow. BoxNow is actually, as you said, it's a hybrid company in logistics, combining logistics and tech. And we are offering the solution of the parcel delivery in Greece. We have also presence in another 3 countries. It's in Bulgaria, Croatia, and Cyprus. It's considered a startup. We launched operations in 2021, and now after 2.5 years, we are in a position to have a presence in 4 countries. BoxNow is owned by a big fund, and this is actually the background also from my side. It's a private equity fund based in the Czech Republic. They have run throughout the years several startups and several privatizations in the Balkan regions and in the Central and Eastern Europe. I used to work with them in the privatization of PAP, the gambling company of Greece. And after that, they decided to exit this investment and enter in a new one, such as the BoxNow. So speaking of the specific job role right now, is actually, it started as a very small company, so it was a head of finance or a finance manager overlooking some key things such as accounting, bookkeeping, and some reporting, and of course some financial controlling in the beginning. This evolved by having also the some other financial aspects under the role of the CFO. But as it was a startup company, this also helped the specific division of the company evolve in other areas such as payroll, the HR, and also the legal aspects, which provided insights not only to myself but also to the entire team in other regions, corporate regions. So the one thing, as the other fellows mentioned about the investing part in BoxNow, what was important, and we didn't mention it as investing, it was financing. So find several ways of how the company could be, apart from the fund, could be financed through other ways. And in Greece and also in other EU countries, there are several, let's say, alternative solutions to do so.
Great, thank you so much, Byron. Thank you so much. I'm going to rotate the order to avoid having Philippe answering first all the time. So right now I'm going to start with António. António, could you talk about the challenges that you've been facing? From my understanding, the challenge that CFO faces can vary a lot depending on the type of company where he works, on the stage of the company, if it's a startup or a more mature company, if there's IT issues and so on and so forth, or funding issues, like Byron mentioned, or not issues, but like challenges. Could you talk us about what were your biggest challenges there at Modum?
Yes, sure. I'm relatively young in the job function. I'm holding it for 6 years now. And so maybe I can highlight two main challenges, which are both specific to the stage of the company. And the first challenge was really at the beginning of this function, because that was also the beginning of the finance function. So at the point in time, the operational structure of the company was merged with 2 other companies. So there was really no finance function at Modum. Due to a shareholder reorganization, we had to split the companies, to split the organizations. And I was given the role to build the finance function of Modum from scratch. And this was a big challenge. Forming a team, understanding all the existing processes, which were often undocumented. At the same time, we had to assure all day-to-day activities. We planned everything, and we had a transition phase, but a plan is just a plan. And then there are certain tasks and processes that were previously simply done without anyone noticing, and they become very visible when you dismantle a well-oiled machine and try to assemble it on the side. And this was every single day we had a new challenge to solve, and this was almost a startup environment. And then a few months afterwards, COVID appeared, and we had to go home and learn how to work at a distance, and we had to reinvent ourselves again. The second challenge is also very, very specific to the stage where the company lives right now, and I'm living it right now. The company is currently in a very dynamic path of growth and investment, looking to find new distribution partners and channels. And this requires a completely different approach to management from what the company was used to do. Again, transformation and change management really take the lead. But at the same time, day-to-day activities need to be assured. And of course, as always, budget is limited, and from our point of view, never enough. So the role is really to bring solutions, and it's a challenge.
That was great, António. Thank you so much for sharing that. Byron, maybe going to you now. What were your biggest challenge or couple of biggest challenges that you faced?
For sure. I have to say that as the company, and as Antonio said, was a startup, it's actually that you build everything from scratch. This is something that I really like because I did that also in previous job roles that I had. It's a very big challenge, especially when you are in an industry that you are not aware of specific peculiarities that this industry may have. But if I may choose one of the things that for myself was quite difficult was to set up from scratch in this specific industry the ERP, the appropriate ERP software, which could support in the beginning one company and then different companies operating in different regions under some of them under different.
Доброго ранку, вітаю вас.
Okay, so I was saying at different currencies. So all the consolidation issues appeared, and also a very important part of all of this is the different tax regimes that each country has. So the second challenge is actually how easy it is to understand the new its new market, and be able to firstly understand, because the most important thing for myself is to understand the people, the mentality of the people, to understand what kind of when you enter in a new market, it's not like you shall apply what you have learned from one country, the exact same things. It's very different. And this is actually the trickiest part of the setup of a new company, especially in the financial and tax aspect. So this requires a lot of effort from a financial professional, and this is actually what I found the most difficult thing.
Thank you, Byron. Philippe, I think we lost
You hear
your
me?
video. Yes, but we cannot see
I don't
you.
know what is happening with the video. I'm sorry. It's just going out. It has my camera is on live. I will try to solve it.
But you can hear me perfectly. If you want to talk
Okay,
without the camera
I
first,
will
it's
not try
fine.
to change anything, otherwise it will it will be a nightmare. The challenge, I said, like Antonio, it was a challenge. Like it was. You always have something new happening on a daily business. When you come in the office in the morning, usually you don't know what could happen. And I have to say that the challenge very often is to make the customer needs meeting some of the regulatory issue you have. I take the example, a big challenge for a bank was the negative interest rate in Europe. Because in theory, we have never seen in Europe a negative interest, or an exception in Switzerland in the 70s. And when people bring you cash, you have to say, sorry, I don't want your cash. Or you need to find a way to have this cash but not lose money, and 50 basis points was a lot. If you look at the profitability of a bank, it's a typical type of challenge where you need to find the solution. That's an example from the business. It was the same in time of crisis, to manage your entity in time of crisis. If you have inflow, outflows. I remember 2008, where you have clients that want to sell in 2008 German bonds, and there is no counterparty. You are dealing with the big name in London, and they came one day after. Sorry, guys, we cannot make the settlement for a German bonds. People need to admit it was a huge event, and that's why also after you get this, I would call, tsunami of regulations. And that will impact as well Antonio and Byron's work with the banks. He said you have so many, you have to consider things you never considered before. You were doing, for example, private banking. You have your client coming in. If the client wants to place 300,000 with you, you place it with your models. If a client wants a loan, I don't know, 200,000 or 2 million, you refinance with your model. Also suddenly say, yeah, you cannot do it anymore because you have a restriction of the size of your balance sheet. You need to optimize or to find solutions. And suddenly in your solutions, you do exactly as a private bank you don't want to do before. Take some market risk. I'm thinking interest rate transformations. Use your euro deposit to give loan so you can mitigate the negative interest, for example. And it was really interesting to find those type of solutions and to work with the experts that each one can bring. I have to say this contribution to the solutions.
Thank you so much, Philippe. Before going to the next question, I would encourage everyone to type questions in the chat so that we can ask at the end of the session. And I see that there's a representative from CFA Society in Nigeria in the event. So welcome to the event, Shanier. So go ahead, just put your questions there, and at the end we'll ask the questions. So the next question is more personal, and I would start with Byron this time. And the question is, what brought you to this profession? What was your personal / professional journey on the way here, and what makes this profession so appealing to you?
Okay, so remembering myself through the latest years in the school, I was particularly interested in the stock markets back then, because it was the market blooming in Greece. It was very nice timing for Greece in 2000, 2003, even if we had a market crash in 1999. But still, I saw that there was a big challenge there and a big potential for triggering me by following the financial news on a local level, but also on a universal level. After that, I decided that I wanted to follow the financial profession. So I tried to see my options at the Greek universities. There were very good universities in Greece. I chose one of them, the University of Piraeus, which was close also to my home. And after that, I started by I took the opportunity on the third year of my studies to apply for back then it was named Leonardo da Vinci program. Now it's called Erasmus Plus program. So I went to Belgium because I had as a second language it's French. The third language is English. So I worked there for 1 year. I extended the initial 6 months to 1 year and stayed there for quite a long time for the entire third year of my studies. So it was the first time that I found myself in the banking industry, and I understood that it was something that I really like, especially aspects such as the investment banking part, the private trading desk that I spent like a month there. So after coming back, I applied to the Greek several Greek banks. One of them, Alpha Bank, decided to talk to me and offer me a position. I started from a branch. Then I evolved myself in the risk department. Then afterwards, after the risk department, there was an opportunity opened because I also knew some Russian, that the company expanded to Ukraine back then in 2006, 2007. So they wanted someone to assist them in the financial part with their subsidiary in Ukraine. And they wanted to take over the financial department of the new subsidiary. So I spent time in MIS, in financial statements, in accounting, in capital adequacy. So this gave me an opportunity to see several aspects of the banking industry. Unfortunately, the market didn't go well after 2009 actually in Greece. So the subsidiaries, they stopped operations, and I decided to stay in Alpha Bank, but trying to find out other job roles inside the bank. And in 2014, after completing, having the time to complete my CFA designation and also my master's degree, I was offered the job at OPAP, at the gambling company, which was privatized at this point of time. So that's overall. Every time I found out that there was another aspect that was of particular interest for myself. In the beginning was the banking industry. Then I found out that privatization is something very appealing. And then after that, it was the startup. So, I mean, this market is always evolving. You never know where you will find yourself. I am always saying that. I have been, I am 39 years old, and I have been in the banking industry, in the logistics industry, in the gambling industry, and also a short 1 year in the online certifications industry. So you never know.
I share some with you that I have a very diversified experience. I've worked in a bunch of different places, but they always have something in common. So it's not that I'm starting from scratch. It's just, there's always something that you bring from the previous job and apply to the next job. As long as there's something in common, because if you do something really different, of course.
It happens, if I may, it happens because when I moved from the banking industry, which is a little bit stricter, to the gambling industry, which was evolving and it's completely different. I mean, these two things, it's very hard to apply what you have learned in the banking one to the gambling one. So it's the only common thing, which is a nice thing to say, and it's also part of the CFA, which I'm always trying to promote, is the ethical part, the ethics. Mm-hmm. It's very important to be an ethical person inside the gambling institution.
Definitely. Philippe, maybe you can go next.
Yes, you hear me?
Perfectly. We cannot see you.
I need to ask because my PC told me he switched the micro from the camera, so I was not sure. So you see that I need to make some more training in IT. From my side, I was always interested to do a career in finance, but maybe it was more banking. And I have to explain that as a Swiss, I did an apprenticeship in a banks. I went through a different department. And it was clear that I was more interested on the buy side, the private banking, portfolio management, and so on. That at that time, if you were on the loan department, you have a lot of guidelines. You don't have flexibility. It was much more fun to be on the private banking side. That was also what I have the opportunity to work in different departments. And I need to say, I've been 17 years UBS and 21 Credit Suisse, and in the end, it's always together. And when I want to say to have a look at the Zurich Stock Exchange to do different things, and basically my goal personally was to be a portfolio manager. And the CFA helped me for that, but after some time, I wanted to see new challenge. And I came to Luxembourg because of the CFA to build the product management. And it was just the offer for private banking, doing everything in one small team. You do the recommendation, you do the portfolio management, you define your investment product and so on. And after the time, suddenly you are, the private bank is going to split. You need to create a trading desk for the client to execute the client trades. And that's the way it started. And what is interesting in finance, you always have some new tasks coming. And I'm referring here to the CFA staff. Suddenly, you need to see it was the 90s. Private equity in the 90s was not so known. And if you look, you were asking on internet, what is private equity? You only found, for example, prospectus. But the way private equity is working at that time, with the limited partner and so on, it was not known. But if you could go back to the CFA body of knowledge, you find the answer. It's helped a lot. And after you take project, you have initiative. I was in charge of the Euro introduction for Luxembourg, and with all those challenges, when you see then you have the opportunities to do something else. We need to open a new branch. Do you want to take this product and so on, this project? Sorry, that's the way it's worked a little bit. It was not a goal to be a CFO, just to answer, but it just happened that if you take responsibilities with project, with department, with team, and you deliver, basically you create also in a small organization, you create your functions. And for the student on the call, the key was to go step by step. My first goal wanted to be portfolio manager. Then I managed pension funds. That I was in charge of the whole area of pension funds in Switzerland. And I said, okay, I'm fed up only doing the same pension fund. Look for something else. Moving to Luxembourg, and then I moved from the product to the management. And I think here that's one of the opportunity we used to have in finance. Maybe know there are other areas outside finance that are like that, or more in smaller organizations, you have this type of opportunities. Happy to answer questions if there are, but I don't want to be too long.
It was perfect, Philippe. Thank you so much. Let's see the next question. It's about and this time, I think last time I started with Byron, right? So this time it's with Philippe now. So you're going to continue to talking right now. So what do you think would be the adequate career path for someone at a young age, university student, or where has recently started his career? What would be the adequate career path for someone that wants to become a CFO? And here, before I giving the word to you, I want to notice that none of you three, as from my perspective, as like the typical CFO path, right? Because from my understanding, maybe it would be like go to a auditing company, stay there for a few years, and maybe then go to the clients. That at least that is my perspective. What would be like the typical mainstream? So, but I would give the word to Philippe to share his views. What do you think would be the path to follow?
But you are right. I think the CFO role will depend from the organizations, and a lot of people will understand what does it mean chief financial officer. But in the company, what the company expects from the function will be quite different from the sectors, from the industry. And for example, if you are the CFO of a divisions, you have more role with cost allocation, controlling, and so on. If you are the CFO of a legal entity, it's slightly different. And if you are the CFO of a regulated entity, it's different again. I came to that, I have to say, more through the way that I have to be the trading desk. I have some experience. I built the branch that was dealing with treasury issue for the group, and I was more treasurer, and I like the word treasurer. But being in charge of treasury, product, and accounting, nobody understood. And I decided, okay, let's say CFO, and no, also the regulator understood. Before there was not understood. And my point here, as a career path, first I see that as a management positions. And basically, I've been CFO, maybe as a CFA, I could have been chief investment officer, and I've been in some stage, in very small, when we started in Luxembourg, you could be chief operating officer. I have colleagues who I used to work, they've been chief risk officer, and then they leave the organization, they become the CEO of a bank. So I would more see it as a management functions. And when you have the responsibility, the title is coming with. The other point I wanted to make is somebody really want to focus to be a CFO. I have to say, if you, in the case of Luxembourg, want to do the CFO of a legal entity, as I was looking for a successor when I decided to retire, we look into the market. First, you are not going to see a lot of advertisement in the newspaper. The company, they will use headhunter. So don't expect an ad. You need to build your network and to jump on the opportunities. And to understand the task, in my view, for the function I had, it would have been better to have somebody coming from the treasury or to have an auditor that understand the regulatory dimension of the role. I have many candidates coming with a profile of controller, but they was just covering one dimension and they have no experience of the other three. And you need to combine with this management experience. And that's also, I would say, it's easier to move in a smaller organization where you have a complete overview that who is doing what. For example, take the example of asset liability management. Understand what is your balance sheet on the active side, what are the liabilities, to have some clue the way it's work. Like to say, banks need to manage this balance sheet to be profitable. An industrial group, maybe it will be different. But I think here to say that a clear path, maybe you have opportunities that arise, depending where you are working, you need to catch this opportunity. But a clear way, like CEO, a lot of people in doing business could want to be CEO, but it's not the way it is. You raise in the position, you are lucky, and in my case, I was lucky to have this opportunity and to have the opportunity to show what I was able to do. and that was my message here. Be open. And also, I was very lucky with the people I work with. I used to work nearly 20 years with the simple. I have great professionals, not only at direct report, but also at other report, hiring and trusting people. And you have the guys that will help the boat in the right direction when there is a storm is so important. And you don't need to have, I would say, people that are nice with you. You need to have people sometimes where you are going to argue. But if they come with a point, they have a good point, you need to listen to them, and you need to explain also sometimes at the last funny part to say they have a good point, but you are not going to follow their point because our strategy to go to another direction. This type of dimensions. So it's a little bit tricky to say somebody, I want to be CFO, but it's depend. Maybe in a big organization where you have several divisions, you could become the CFO. It's easier maybe to become of the business line to start with, or country market in a big organization to understand the MIS, the revenue, the cost allocation, and so on. But it's not enough. It's depend really the type. Where are you active, in which industry, and the cycle of that industry. I hope I provide a clear answer or understandable answer, because it's a challenge in compared to other profession you have dealt in these sessions. It's easier to see portfolio manager, fixed income manager, but management role sometimes it's there are several ingredients that you need, and you need to also find the opportunity, not find the opportunities and grasp them when they come.
Thank you, Philippe. Thank you so much. Actually, before giving the word to António, I forgot to mention one thing. We have a Philippe was a CFO at the bank. We have António, who is a CFO at the insurance company, and we have Byron, which is a CFO at a regular company or non-financial company. So I think this is really important because of course they have really different perspectives. Philippe mentioned a lot of the regulation. I think that's mostly a banking thing, also maybe an insurance thing, but I think it's most. I'm sure insurance will have a lot of regulation, but I think banking is much more. So António, I'll give the word to you.
Yes, it's different roles, but I think in this question probably we all agree, and I fully agree with Philippe, and I fully agree when Byron said that we never know where we will be tomorrow. So it's really unpredictable. I believe the paths and the mindsets in fact need to be different depending on the size of the company. It's not the same thing pursuing a management position in a large corporation or in a small or medium-sized company. It's two different things. But yeah, a plan is just a plan. So it's very important to have one because it's a roadmap, but it's the sure thing about the plan is that reality will be different, and that's for sure. Yes, have a plan, but keep your options open and ready to take turns and take the opportunities when they arise. What I would say more, regardless of the career path and focusing more on probably small and medium-sized companies, which what I know a little bit better. I would say, while doing the path, build good technical skills, keep an open mind on always wanting to know more and to learn more of a diverse set of issues. While doing this, always try to develop a good understanding of the business, developing how the business works, the motivations and interests of all the stakeholders, the strategic and business environment where the company operates. I would say always look at the forest and not focusing on the trees. Take the big picture. This is very important. And as you approach roles higher and closer to a CFO, focus on people. people and managing teams, because in the end, your capacity to execute is mostly dependent on the ability to put a team to work. Alone, you never do it. So this is what I can say.
Thank you, Antonio. Byron, would you like to add something?
Yes, I believe that I am in full agreement with what Philippe and Antonio said. And as one of my mentors said, it's actually the last point mentioned by Antonio, that not only in new markets, but also when you climb up the corporate ladder, if I may say so, it's very important to be able to manage people. I believe this is the most important and critical path to success. If you are not able to manage in the beginning and then be able to lead the team, because today we have to admit that these two roles, these two verbs, manage and lead, are considered differently, and they are different in reality. It's very important to inspire your people, because you're not going only to handle let's say easy times. There are going to be challenges, there are going to be tough times, and I'm always under the impression that you have to lead by example. So when for example you are asking your people to put more effort in a specific thing, that they have to see that you are also in the same, you are doing the same thing, you're doing the same. If you are disconnected from your team, I believe that this is going to create a lot of problems, and this may even lead to really not nice situations, such as people leaving from your team or making you leave from the team. Apart from that, of course, being open-minded and being flexible is very important, because you may jump from one industry to another, but also even in the same industry. And this is something that I can share based on my on the last job role that I am having right now in Box Now. Before Box Now, the traditional, there was only the traditional courier services. Usually you had the government, the state-owned, usually post office, and then you had some express courier deliveries going to making home deliveries of parcels or of goods. The parcel lockers and in general PUDO points and out-of-home deliveries, they are gaining a significant market share in not only in Greece, but Greece usually comes after, but also in Europe. There are specific countries in Europe, such as Poland, for example. Even, I don't know what is the status in Portugal or in Luxembourg, but also in France, in the UK, in the Scandinavian countries, where more than 50% of the deliveries take place in out-of-home places, such as parcel lockers. So this means that each industry evolves itself, and because usually people are they believe that a CFO is like an accountant, a chief accountant, and it's very focused to specific things, old style things. This is not the case. This is definitely not the case. I mean, even I believe this is the same not only in non-financial industries, but also in the finance industries, in the insurance industries. So this is also something that all of us have to keep in mind. And of course, in Greece, I will mention that again. It's also the tax peculiarities that you have to take into your mind. That's it.
Thank you, Byron. We're going to address the questions of the audience, and we would start with the CFA program. What was the contribution to your career? And I would start by saying something. The CFA is usually more associated with the investment side of business. So the question is, how did it help in your career? So I would start with Antonio.
Yes, I definitely believe the CFA is invaluable for someone who pursues a CFO career. And for me, when I started, I never thought of becoming a CFO. So, but now I still apply lots of things that I learned with the CFA program, especially within the financial services industry in general. So the background that the CFA program gives you is really incredible. We have a diverse set of abilities and resources. We will gain a good sense of economic understanding, the ability to understand financial statements, the insights on portfolio management and risk management, the importance of an investment policy, which is well designed and understood by everybody. This just to name just a few. And as Byron said, one thing that it is important in all businesses and functions, ethics, the importance of ethics, the extreme importance of your fiduciary duties. For me, the CFA gave me the knowledge and resources to understand the complete investment process, which was invaluable to me when I had the opportunity to head an investment area. In my case, I have no doubt that the way this investment area was managed and set up while I was the head of it, and the way it was functioning, was one of the factors that caught the attention of senior management and made them believe that I would be able to set up a broader finance function and to lead it. I have no doubt about it. And the CFA program was definitely extremely important in that.
Thank you, Antonio. Byron, will you go next?
I remember very well when I in one of the interviews that I had when I tried to join OPAP, it was by a very senior person then in OPAP, and of course I believe the purpose behind the question was, and because the whole discussion was not the obvious one, but to just see if I can handle difficult situations. So he asked me, I am seeing here at your resume that you have completed the CFA certification. I told him yes, I have done it, and I have passed all 3 levels, and I am also participating as a member in the CFA Society Greece BOD. And he told me, you know, I also started doing the CFA certification, but I only took the first level, and I believe that it's a waste of time and money. So I don't believe that it's of any help for the purpose that we are for the person that we are trying to find in this job position right now. So I try to argue there about the value of CFA in reality without me getting out of my mind in the same time and become very furious. So what I told him is that potentially CFA is not a certification that will take you to the very detailed part of its the financial accounting or of quants or of alternative investment. But especially the first level, it gives you a nice oversight in a lot of different areas of the financial industry, and this gives you the opportunity to better understand, better and easier understand some things, and also have a potentially a better and more well-sounded opinion on aspects of the financial industry, or on aspects of the everyday life of a company, which may not only be focused on finance. And I mentioned, of course, also the ethical part, which is quite important on all on all the industries. And this was, I don't know if it was only this answer, but I believe that this helped me get the position back then. And I don't believe that it's only by luck that I completed in 2013 my certification, and I found the job in 2014. I believe that they show some value addition in my profile through this certification.
Thank you, Byron. Philippe, do you want to add something?
Yes, no, I totally subscribe to what has been said, and I think the people should look at the CFA. It's a kind of a toolkit, and sometimes you have to study stuff that you don't need it, and you will be surprised one day you have a demand. Oh, then you need to come back to that, and also remember, with the link with the CFO, I had to implement several times portfolio management system. On the first one, when I just arrived in Luxembourg, they wanted to have something from Reuters. But in the end, this system is a huge issue and nobody has understood just for the performance calculations, because it was an accounting system. He was not able to do time-weighted performance calculations. And it's a core of the system, because you need systems that are dealing with transactions, not with positions. And I make the link because at that time, the accounting was like that. A lot of people look at the passives, a solid balance sheet, you have your positions. But no, with the regulatory development, the report you need to produce for the regulator, you need to have the transaction-based reporting. Because you need to report your liquidity and so on. You cannot report a position. You need to have all the deal one by one, just as a concrete example. And here I learned that from the CFA, and I have to say performance calculation. When you do that part in the curriculum, you say, what is it? And it was just an example. And I would like to add as well that also the opportunity to connect with others, with peers, like here, we are all active with local society, and just the way to exchange, to have this network. And I have colleagues in Luxembourg that said all their move in their career have been done where people they met after a presentation, they have a drink, and they say, I made 3 moves in my career. It was always those meetings, not always with CFA, but it was at the occasion of this type of event. So just wanted to highlight this dimension as well. And the fact that it is done in English, and you see, here I'm a French-speaking guy. It's also, in Europe, it crossed the border. Because also you come in Europe, come to Luxembourg, Germany, and so on. Okay, you have it, but it's the same. You go to the US, you go to Asia, you have people with different background. They recognize that, so it's quite helpful that we have the same understanding. Maybe not directly for the role of CFO, but saying this dimension is quite interesting.
Thank you so much, Philippe. And I agree with you. For me, the most valuable thing, it's the network that it's the continuing education that you get after you taking the certificate and the network. It's 6:30 now. If there are 2 more questions from the audience, do you have more, like 5 minutes longer, Philippe, Antonio, and Byron? Cool. So the next question is from João Rocha. He's asking about how stressful the job is. Maybe I would start with you. I'm not sure whose turn was. Maybe you can go ahead, Philippe. I forgot.
Yes, I can easily. Yes, you have stress, not always, but very often. It's part of the responsibilities. It's not part of the CFO role. When you have a management position and so on, people see the nice part of the staff. You are in the first row in meeting and so on. But you have occasion, you have stress, you have difficulty to sleep. You will be wake up during the night because there is an issue or something you have to deal. That's part of the job, but also it's part of the beauty, because you have challenge. Some challenge are easier to solve, and others, and sometimes you have to say, okay, you failed. We make mistake and say, here, it's my mistake. Sometimes it's cost, sometimes you can avoid. that's part of the role. So this is, I would say, it's not a free lunch.
Thank you.
The point is also to be able to have a life balance to master that, because you cannot be stressed 24 hours. You need to organize yourself. To have also people with you. I'm thinking family, colleagues that help, or I would not say peers where you can talk to. You need to manage and to address this stress, but you will be confronted with stress.
Thank you. António, Byron, you want to add something? Or
maybe just reinforce what Philippe said. Yes, we have stress, but it's also part of the beauty of it. And I think an important thing is, if you believe in the organization, in the company where you are into, if you believe in that business, then it's perfectly okay to live with some moments of stress, because they are part of the responsibility.
yes. Byron, regarding a startup, is it different? It's more stressful being at a startup?
I thought it would be stressful if you would have an unsecured financing. When you have a secured financing, it's pretty much the same as Philippe and Antonio said. It's part of the fun. Of course, when you are in such a position, you have to make some sacrifices. It's not always easy to maintain a work-life balance. That's true. But of course, this is something that how I manage to handle this kind of stuff is that, of course, I'm trying to prioritize things, and I'm always trying to listen to people that they have a better insight in something more specialized once it's needed. There is no, I don't believe that there's a one solution fits all here.
You're mute.
Sorry, I was on mute. And the last question is from Ioannis Marinakos. Is asking if you recommend starting off as a financial business analyst and then in order to move to a portfolio management role. Well, maybe I'm not sure. Tony probably is the best person to answer this. Maybe Philippe a little bit. Byron worked, I think, as maybe in his early career, but I think more Antonio and Philippe are better.
I started as a research analyst, so yes, I would say so, because I then moved to portfolio management, and it's a sort of natural evolution. If you have, if you like the portfolio management and the buy side path, as I like it. So yes, it's a way, definitely a way to start.
Philippe wants to add something.
I agree, and by the way, it's the way the CFA curriculum is built. You have level 2. It's really it's a view of an analyst for an equity or bonds, and you have also the stuff from level 1, and then you take everything at level 3 to use it to build a portfolio. And I have to say it's a lot of fun to build the portfolio, but over time, what I see, a lot of great analysts are good portfolio manager, but after some years, what they want to do, what is really interesting, is to meet the customer, to find what is the solution for my customer. Just to say, my dream was to be portfolio manager, and I've been portfolio manager. I wanted nobody to come and say, you need to do that and that. I decide what I buy and so on. I wanted this liberty. But after, you will see that you still have a benchmark to comply, a lot of things, and but you need to start from the bottom to understand what you buy, what you put in your portfolio, and why. And maybe one day you go a little bit further, just to have a long view, that you find it's nice to understand, to discuss with a customer, understand their needs, or build the solutions that will meet their needs. For me, it's the way I see it in the end, and it was quite interesting as well, discussing with the customer, with the client, and try to create solutions.
Well, thank you so much. And we're over with the questions. I would like to thank everyone again, all the attendees, the CFA Society Luxembourg, CFA Society Greece, and of course, Philippe, António, and Byron for sharing their experiences with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us
Thank
here.
you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.